Imagine a place that tells a story spanning centuries, where culture and nature intertwine to create something truly extraordinary. That's the beauty of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I'm Abigail, and this is Global Treasures, the podcast that covers the history, travel tips, and legends surrounding one of the 1,248 World Heritage Sites each episode. These places have been identified as having universal, cultural, or natural significance that is so exceptional that it transcends national boundaries and is of importance to present and future generations. Welcome to Season 3, where we'll explore the 27 sites that UNESCO added in 1980 together. Thank you for listening to Global Treasures. I appreciate all of your support, and you can continue to support us by subscribing at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or your favorite platform. You can also follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and you can check out my blog on globaltreasurestravel.com. Today, I'll be unpacking a site that is so vast, so complex, and gets the award for having the longest name of any site we've yet to cover. It's filled with incredible human stories and a profound history. Arguably, it's one of the most historically concentrated locations on the planet. The historic center of Rome, the properties of the Holy See in that city enjoying extraterritorial rights, and San Paolo Fiori Lamira is a UNESCO site that is more than a single landmark. It's a living testament to over 3 millennia of history. This site encompasses the entire historic center of Rome within its city walls as they stood back in the 17th century. It also includes the magnificent Basilica of St. Paul's outside the walls. So I will touch on the majority of these sites, but focus primarily on the ones that are well known or the biggest tourist destinations, because otherwise, this episode could be 2 hours long. With that caveat, let's begin with the history and political geography. Rome's story is the world's history. Per legend, the city was founded by Romulus and Remus in 753 BC. It served first as the center of the Roman Republic, then served as the heart of the great Roman Empire, before transitioning into the capital of the Christian world in the 4th century. Obviously, this transformation didn't happen overnight. It came in waves. Ancient Rome was built, then Christian Rome, which frequently repurposed or reused the older structures. Then, in the 15th century, the Pope launched a magnificent effort to remake the city. He infused it with Renaissance classicism and Baroque style to ensure its status as the spiritual capital of the Christian world. The architecture that resulted from this effort is one of a kind. You can see churches, palaces, and squares everywhere. Again, this is where Baroque art was born and spread throughout the world. The city wasn't just beautiful, it was also technologically advanced. Rome had the most sophisticated systems of its time, from drainage and aqueducts to the incredible fountains, all still visible in the streets today. In fact, the art in Rome had a profound influence on the development of urban planning, architecture, and again, art across the globe. Then there are the properties of the Holy See, which is the name of the governing body of the Catholic Church and Vatican City, otherwise known as the Office of the Pope. These are regulated by the 1929 Lateran Treaty, signed with the Kingdom of Italy. This treaty recognized Vatican City as an independent state, meaning it doesn't automatically follow or adopt Italian laws. It actually has its own legal system. And this creates a fascinating political and legal situation. Although these properties remain part of Italian territory, some of them enjoy extraterritoriality, a status similar to that of foreign embassies, including tax exemptions. However, those visiting these properties are generally required to follow the immigration rules of Italy. For example, Americans studying at the Pontifical North American College need an Italian visa, despite residing and studying in those properties of the Holy See. The list of these properties outside of Vatican City, but inside Rome, is remarkable, representing a mix of civic and religious buildings, children's hospitals, and even academic centers. First, we have the breathtaking churches. The Archbasilica of St. John Lateran is the cathedral that serves as the head of the Catholic Church and the seat of the Pope and Bishop of Rome. It's the only archbasilica in the world and is the oldest public church in Rome, right outside Vatican City. Inside, the ceiling is a golden dream, and the sculptures of the saints are incredible. It holds tombs as well. Then there's the Basilica of St. Mary Major, another of the 4 major papal basilicas, and one of the 7 pilgrim churches of Rome. It's the largest church, dedicated to the veneration of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and was the first church in the Western world. You'll find incredible sculptures and dome frescoes, some of the most beautiful ever painted. The Feast of the Assumption of Mary is held here by the Pope. The site is notable as the final resting place for several figures. Pope Francis was the first pope to be buried here. The third extraterritorial basilica is the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls, a major pilgrimage site founded by Emperor Constantine over the burial site of St. Paul and consecrated in 324 AD. After a huge fire in the 1800s, the current building was finished in 1840. Researchers found a white marble sarcophagus under the altar, which, per carbon dating, is possibly St. Paul's. The ceiling's artwork is incredible, and the mosaics, one of a kind. Beyond the basilicas are palaces and schools, steeped in papal history. The Lateran Palace was the principal residence of popes for at least 1,000 years, until they moved to the Vatican. Tourists can visit the papal apartment, and historically, this site actually provided a safe haven for Jews during World War II, as well as refugees. Adjoining it is the Lateran University, which focuses on Christian philosophy and marriage and family science, and the Holy Stairs. These are the replica wooden stairs built over the originals, which can only be climbed on one's knees. The Holy Stairs supposedly led to the headquarters of Pontius Pilate in Jerusalem, where Jesus stepped on the way to trial during the period before his death. The original marble stairs are visible through those wooden coverings, having been moved from their original spot in the 1580s. Legend claims that St. Helen, mother of Emperor Constantine, brought the stairs from Jerusalem to Rome in 326 AD. If you can't make it to Rome, there's a replica at Our Lady of Lourdes Grotto in Lowell, Massachusetts. The list of prominent sites goes on, most of which having deep ties to Catholic orders and famous artists. There's the Palazzo di Propaganda Fide, which was designed by the famed Renaissance painter and architect Gian Lorenzo Bernini. Next is the Palazzo di Convertendi, a reconstructed Renaissance palace, famously known as the last home of the painter Raphael, who died there in 1520. Then we have the Palazzo della Cancelleria, with the earliest parts built between 1489 and 1513. It houses institutions of justice by the Roman Curia and features a fresco by Vasari that was completed in just 100 days and is famously, and unsurprisingly, called the Room of 100 Days. There's the Paul VI Audience Hall, which holds over 6,000 people. It sits in both Vatican City and Rome. The platform the Pope speaks from, with the throne, however, is Vatican territory. Notably, the roof has solar panels that supplies the building's lighting, heating, and air conditioning year-round. Then there are the Gianicolo Hill area properties, which include the Bambino Hospital, which is under the jurisdiction of the Vatican, along with the Pontifical Urban University and several national colleges, like Pontifical North American College. The hill itself provides a great view of central Rome and features statues and monuments of famous Italians, as well as a Baroque fountain built by the Pope in the 17th century. Next on the list is the Jesuit Curia Complex, which serves as the global headquarters for the Society of the Jesuits, an order of Roman Catholics, much like the Dominicans and Benedictines. It was founded in 1540 with the approval of the Pope. Their mission is for women and men to find reconciliation with God and each other. There's also the Palazzo San Callisto, a Baroque palace with a courtyard that contains the well where Pope Calixtus I was martyred. Then there are the juggernauts, the main attractions most tourists are interested in seeing within Rome. The first is the Roman Forum. Once the bustling heart of ancient Rome, the Roman Forum is a valley of ruins that still hums with echoes of senators, merchants, and daily business. Wandering its broken columns and sprawling foundations feels like stepping into the living blueprint of a civilization that shaped the world. Then there's the Piazza di Spagna, home to the iconic Spanish Steps. The piazza blends architectural elegance with the pulse of modern Rome. Historically the Spanish embassy, it's become a gathering place for travelers, artists, and locals alike, where high-end boutiques meet centuries-old charm. Of course, many of you have heard of the Colosseum, Rome's most recognized symbol of power and spectacle. The Colosseum remains best known for gladiators who fought one another and wild animals within its confines. Also, just looking at it from the outside, you have to marvel at its incredible engineering. Standing inside its arches, it's impossible not to imagine the roar of 50,000 spectators, the grit of the arena floor, and the sheer ambition of an empire etched into the stone. Then there's the Pantheon, The Pantheon is a masterpiece of ancient architecture, perfectly proportioned and crowned by a vast open oculus that floods the temple with light. It's a rare place where time seems to slow down and the marvel of human ingenuity feels almost divine. Believe it or not, it was a Christian church that was originally a temple dedicated to the gods. Finally, we've come to Capitoline Hill, one of Rome's 7 hills. It blends mythic origins with Renaissance brilliance. Designed in part by Michelangelo, its piazza, palaces, and sweeping views over the Forum offer a serene vantage point. Finally, we have the properties outside of Rome, like the Palace of Castel Gandolfo, which includes the gardens and a papal farm, an area of around 140 acres. Even the non-extraterritorial buildings, like the Palace of the Holy Apostles, attached to the Basilica de Santi XII Apostoli, boasts frescoes, such as the Triumph of the Franciscan Order by Baciccio, and a vivid fresco by Odazzi above the sanctuary. Just prepare for a crick in the neck if you plan to absorb it all. There is no place in the world where looking at a ceiling will provide a life-changing experience. Given the richness of the city center's culture, social, and economic life, Rome is one of the largest tourist destinations in the world. Its sheer volume of history is incredible. It boasts the highest concentration of the world's cultural heritage, holding nearly 1/5 within its walls. If you want to truly absorb this city, you should budget for at least a week. Let's talk logistics. I'm going to put links in the show notes to help make your planning a little easier. There's a lot to consider for a trip like this. Before you leave, consider the time of year you're going when figuring out what to pack. Rome has a Mediterranean climate with hot summers that can get over 80 degrees Fahrenheit and rainy winters that can get as low as 30 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're flying in from another country, you'll want to fly into Fiumicino International Airport. Once in the city, you can get around by bus, rideshare, taxi, or train, as it's also a very walkable city. Try to make sure you get your taxi from a stand by calling or using official apps to ensure it's legitimate. You can use the metro to get to and from the airport, and you can even access free Wi-Fi for a certain number of hours a day with an app you can download if you have a SIM card. In terms of where to stay, the area has numerous homestay options, hostels, hundreds of hotels, and you can even camp. You need to book early, up to 6 months in advance at least, because sites like the Colosseum get over 12 million visitors, and the Pantheon gets over 9 million a year. The Colosseum, Roman Forum Museum, and Palatine Museum can be booked online only. And while some sites offer free admission certain days of the month, it's also worth noting they're only closed a few days a year for major holidays. I strongly suggest booking some guided day tours that will help you get into multiple sites, as tickets can get scooped up quickly. They'll also be able to help coordinate transportation around the city if needed. Plus, they'll go into the history in much more detail. And you can book someone in your native language. While Italian is the official language, English is spoken in touristy and even some lesser-known areas. And I would add, if you are even the slightest bit claustrophobic, This city is one of the most crowded I've ever been to. I'm talking sheer masses of humanity at every corner. So, having a tour guide who knows the city like the back of their hand is a benefit. When planning your trip, you might want to consider a Roma Pass, which offers a 48 or 72-hour option window and covers over 100 attractions for a set price. It's worth looking into, as it includes some of these sites, along with free use of certain restrooms, a surprisingly important detail in Europe, and access to the public transit I referenced before. Just remember, all sites have different rules in terms of time of entry, security, and whether or not they allow flash photography, so be sure to read over the individual websites before visiting. Also keep in mind, you won't be able to visit some of these properties because, again, they're actively used children's hospitals or universities. 2 other tips. First, do be careful of pickpocketing. Number 2, if you live with a disability, you'll quickly discover that some of these sites aren't wheelchair accessible. Make sure to inquire in advance if the sites have steep hills or if staff can assist with locating elevators. In terms of other sites worth visiting that I haven't already mentioned, you must check out the Galleria Borghese. It features Raphael and Caravaggio masterpieces, but you must buy tickets in advance because they limit the number of people in at one time, and you can only stay for 2 hours. For a truly unique experience, visit San Clemente, which is a 1st century basilica under a 4th century basilica, which is under the present day one. More layers than tiramisu. Under a drainage tunnel between San Clemente and the Colosseum are buildings destroyed by Nero in 64 AD. You have to book online for the excavations, as there are no guided tours. Now, what's a visit to Italy without the food? While gelato was apparently developed in Florence, it's an absolute must-do anywhere in Italy. And of course, there's pasta. While some claim that Marco Polo brought over pasta, evidence has been uncovered showing it was eaten as early as 400 BCE. No matter where you go, you'll likely see carbonara on the menu. Finally, you can't leave without experiencing a mocha pot, which is a magical little creation that will change the way you experience your coffee. Just be prepared. It comes out piping hot and strong. Now, for those who are like me and enjoy a good ghost tour, Rome is the city for you. Of course, a city this old comes with its legends and tragedies. It's claimed that the Colosseum is haunted by gladiators who met tragic endings, and the bridge leading to Castle San Angelo is haunted by the ghost of Beatrice Cenci, a noblewoman who was executed there. Over the years, it served as a mausoleum, prison, fortress, and ancient prison. Even if it isn't haunted, there's a charged atmosphere that's hard to explain to someone who hasn't visited. Looking to the future, despite the pressures of over-tourism and exposure to the elements, Rome's historic center has one of the strongest restoration plans for any UNESCO site, partially driven by all of the tourism money it generates. When you think of history, you think of Rome, and this city center continues to have a rich cultural, social, and economic life that guarantees its survival for millennia to come. The Eternal City and the Holy See is truly a treasure worth protecting and exploring. I hope you enjoyed this dive into Rome's history and the incredible logistics of visiting this site. Join me next time, where I'll cover yet another one-of-a-kind World Heritage Site. Until then, keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep treasuring the remarkable diversity of our world's heritage.